It should also be remembered that the rabbit worked with George Bush. I was a Pittsburgh public school student who was deaf and who was raised by two women who had multiple lovers. So I was used to women picking me up and discarding me. And the cover story for the rabbits monopolizing of information to protect the attackers was that women didn't appreciate me once they got to know me. So they discarded me and I cried, and they all thought that was very funny. They would pick me up to watch me cry. And the script says boys should not cry. So we know what George Bush's take on this is. And George Bush had it in his head that, if you're going to make love, um, then you should have to die for love. And that's his mentality. That's Pope Carl's mentality. If you love, you must die to love. And so they use that to ignore the evidence that Wilsell presented. So it's not like I didn't prove what happened. It's not like the arrangements didn't corroborate my proof of what happened. It was that they wanted to say that I was at my word to die for love. And that wasn't, for me, anything but punishing somebody for getting evidence for tripping them up, getting evidence of what happened and opposing it in a public domain. Now, the rabbit wangles whenever he can. And the rabbit wangled that I was owed the Guerrilla Theater Mafia performance, that I didn't present myself for arrest and go to jail willingly as a civil rights martyr in protest. They had to trick me in being arrested. And this proves that I wasn't courageous enough to sleep with somebody in a way that would put myself at risk and show myself a true Aaron Bushnell willing to die for love. The George Bush stuff. Martin Sheen was working with Vince Irene on this co-production system. Well, there's two facts that they hotwire around. One of them is that I had an implanted neuroplasm. It got so that I was like getting hit in the head with a sledgehammer. I was in terrible shock and suffering. Another thing is, the night that I went to cancel the appointment, from which I had not been forbidden to go, they said, do not bother anybody else. This was pre-existing. But I went to cancel out of courtesy. That's the reality. I was not there about Wilsell. I was there because the script very clearly was an attempt to make it look like John Lennon had been killed by Gail Burston's operation, when in reality, we now know that John Lennon was in on Gail Burston's operation. That's why they chose to arrest me and not Gail Burston. However, even her name, Gail, corroborates what I said about Wilsell, who promoted Joseph Goebbels openly. I'm not making this up. So Patricia Fripp promotes Joseph Goebbels. Stephanie promotes Joseph Goebbels. Steve Tagney poisons a deaf man in the mouth for promoting Joseph Goebbels. And they say this is because he represents the Jewish Defense League, meaning Gail Burston. So they had to arrest me to prevent me from getting Gail Burston arrested. And the Weedle and the Wangler wiggles on his fanny, making things up. Yeah, they're going along with John Shulman, whose gang said I was a reckless driver at Kelly School. Pittsburgh's country repertoire theory can't get enough of it. They must have made $1 million from Yoko Ono setting it up. And then they're supposed to own up to that. You think that the NAACP is going to admit they did that? You think Temple University's Black Studies is going to admit they did that? No. They're going to go to the Wiggler, the Wangler, the Rabbit. He's going to put on his spinner beanie because he's very good at dialectics with his crony sister, Colin Powell. So she's honorary the African warrior. And they're going to make things up. Oh, he drove recklessly at Kelly's school. Oh, he's I mean, the kinds of things they make up, I can barely even say they're so absurd. It's this absurd theater, and it's gone on for 50 years. It's in the city of Pittsburgh. It's being robbed of the museum. Their children are being put at risk by restless drivers, and they refuse to stop. They're getting disenfranchised to run a lawnmower in the Ukraine for people like Lindsey Graham. And the more you rob them, the more you steal from them, the more you lie to them, the better they love you. That's obvious. Look at Fetterman. Look at the popularity of Fetterman. And you can't reason with them. And then they say, well, you owe us the money to be made from your work and your injuries. It's insane. But they have backup. They have Clint Eastwood. He comes in. I mean, Pittsburgh loves to brag. How much would you charge to punch somebody in the face? I said you couldn't pay me $1 million to do that. I wouldn't do it. It's against my ethics. Well, another guy goes, you 15, 20 bucks, I'll do it. I'll be glad to do it. They have plenty of AIDS victims to choose from if they want to make good on Yoko Ono's threat. They poison me in the mouth. They call themselves Mercy. You can see the logic. And So and Us by the Beatles and Penis Gabriel were romantic, right? They were always selling love stories. You know, Rosa imaginably could have loved me and said, I'm so sorry that you're damaged. I want to help you. She came in, she didn't think anything of sex. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't love. She was just an attack prostitute out to blow up the United States. It was a depth charge. They implanted it and blew it up. That's the reality of it. And that's what you're trading your stupid war game for the safety of your children at Kelly Elementary, for the protection and safety and the future of Carnegie Museum. You're trading the safety and integrity of your representatives. You're trading the Democratic Party. You're trading, from what I gather, our nuclear regulatory safety, so that Paul McCartney can rip or murder someone in Seattle over a penny. And then you think that's the principle of the thing. You go along with Bush and Robert Fripp and Granger Morgan saying, Leon Mitchell going, that's the principle of the thing. The principle of the thing. Don't call us stupid. We're with Fetterman. Fetterman, he's smart.